and the Delaware River Basin Commissioners from voting to open up our Delaware River watershed to gas drilling. Governor Markell took a fresh look at the science, at the facts, at what was happening on the ground. He learned about the blowouts and the spills and the drinking water contamination. He learned about the kids and the families who were getting sick, about the fish kills, about all the devastation that was happening in all the communities where gas drilling already was. And he knew for our Delaware River watershed, this would be a bad thing. We got a reprieve, and now we have more time to build more evidence and to build more allies. And of course, along the way, we have to say thank you to our current allies. So can we take a moment together to raise our voices to say thank you to Governor Markell?
So we won this round right here, right? But we can't go home again until Craig and Julie Soutner can go home. Until Calvin Tillman and the people of Fort Worth can go home. Because...
Mic check!
I keep blowing out the mic. I wonder why that happened.
You need a sound man.
Because if we're getting fracked, everybody's getting fracked. But 3 days ago, I got a call from a guy named Tim DeChristopher. In a federal penitentiary on his 30th birthday. He turned 30 in jail 3 days ago because he wanted to stop an illegal auction of oil and gas leases in Utah. He's in jail for 2 years. And let me remind you that this hearing, had it gone forward, this vote, had it gone forward, would have been an illegal vote. They were in violation of the National Environmental Policy Act, which states they have to do a cumulative impact study before passing regulations. They were committing an illegal act. They were breaking the law. So if you were looking forward to breaking the law today and you were disappointed,
You'll have opportunity.
you were on the higher moral ground. Not a small law, right? The National Environmental Policy Act. So Tim DeChristopher says to me, I feel really isolated in here. I feel one step behind. I said, well, you were 5 steps ahead to begin with. And he was looking at all the things that have happened. The victory at the Keystone XL. And his 30th birthday happened to be the day that we won this. They threatened Craig Soutner with arrest if he continued to call the governor's office.
So yes, it's a moment of victory, but I'm sort of like Eeyore, you know, I'm like, yeah, that was a nice victory.
My name is Sandra Steingraber. I'm a biologist, an author, and a cancer survivor. For me, the road to Trenton began in a hospital, in a small town, in an industrial area along the Illinois River, my hometown. It was here in 1979, a couple days after my 20th birthday, that I heard a doctor tell me that I had bladder cancer. And after he left, and I was still lying there exhaling anesthesia, I glanced down at a newspaper that a candy striper had left next to my bed. And the headline was about a place called Love Canal in upstate New York, and about a woman named Lois Gibbs who was engaged in acts of peaceful protest and civil disobedience, and that were shining a public spotlight on cancer-causing and birth defect-causing chemicals in her community. Armed with a PhD in biology and a postdoc at Harvard, I published a book about the environmental links to cancer, and I titled it Living Downstream. Among other things, Living Downstream documents the presence of chemicals linked to bladder cancer in my hometown's drinking water wells. To this day, no one can tell me how those chemicals got there. 10 years later, Living Downstream was adopted as a documentary film. I arrived early enough to the theater that I could catch the screening of the film scheduled immediately before mine. And it was a little film called Gasland. The same chemical carcinogens and mutagens and brain poisons and hormone disruptors that I've been researching for 2 decades. And I knew how they sabotaged developmental pathways, altered subcellular signaling loops, messed up gene expression, and had the power to extinguish human pregnancies at vanishingly low concentrations. These same chemicals, according to Josh Fox, he's telling me that these same chemicals are now being mixed with fresh water and used as a club to smash the bedrock of our nation and extract a fossil fuel in a process called fracking.
There is no doubt that President Obama chose not to take this vote today because of what we did with the climate change and the Keystone Pipeline action in Washington, D.C.
We're the Saltners from Dimmock, and we've been living with a contaminated well for over 3 years now. That's 3 years too long. Especially when it says in my lease that they have to restore my well to original condition that they found before they did any drilling. They have not done that, and it says that they have to do it immediately. Cabot Oil and Gas is not going to get off the hook on this. I don't care what the Pennsylvania DEP says. They will pay for this to restore our water. But now it's getting to the point where they shut our water off. This is real. This is real. We lose our water November 30th. We will not have any water in the house unless I hook up my contaminated well back again. I am not going to do that and let them off the hook for this. They destroyed it, and they have to pay for it. They have to get it back. This is unbelievable. And then we have the Pennsylvania DEP that promised us a water line from Montrose down to Dimmock, and they pulled it out from underneath us, and they squashed the whole line. Now the DEP says, yes, they can stop delivering on November 30th is the last delivery. Well, since then, I have been calling up every day. I call the governor, and I call 3 people in the DEP to find out what's going on. I want them to come to Dimmock and drink the water and prove it. Cabot and the DEP is saying that there's nothing wrong with the water in Dimmock. I want them to show some responsibility here. They come to Dimmock, drink it, take it home with you, give it to your kids to bath in for a whole month to see how you like it. I just got a call, I think it was either Thursday or Friday last week, from the state Capitol Police that told me if I call the DEP one more time, they will have me arrested. That is unacceptable. I will not. Right, we want everybody to call.
We'll call for you. We'll call for you. We'll call for you. We'll call for you.
50 years ago was when the Delaware River Basin Commission was created. Woo! And then Justice Oliver Wendell Holmes said, a river is more than an amenity, it is a treasure. Well, we're here to protect that treasure. Yes. And then I want to point out something else that happened for me 3 years ago when this whole thing started, when Casco Mountain Keeper first started taking on the PR campaign, as the landmen were rushing across the Delaware River into Sullivan County, New York, and the Catskills. And we had all these strategic meetings with other organizations, and I kept hearing this conversation, well, we got to figure out how to be inclusive and have different representatives. We can't have this be a NIMBY issue. Not in my backyard. What better place to protect than your backyard? Sam Adams and John Adams were protecting their backyard in Boston. George Washington crossed the river in the middle of the night to protect his backyard. This fracking issue, the energy issue, is messing up America's backyard. It's screwing up Wyoming, it's messing with Texas, it's messing with Arkansas. 32 states in this country, and 32 states filled of NIMBYs not wanting that in their backyard. Let's carry that message to Trenton.
Student leaders and professors are getting together and have signed a commitment to work on a sustainable future that is frack-free and fossil fuel-free. This has been a year of activism, and more people are standing up for public health, like Obama with the Keystone Pipeline. And one person that we really have to support and appreciate is Governor Markell.
Manitawakon si Mokumsakana, Liwi Nulang Kaminanu. Nu me asho when me no po quink sipo soking agbayong kinkulaking.
You know what you could do? You could call.